What's going on, everybody? This is Kane Revolve, and this is a bit of a weird video. I wasn't sure if I was really ready to make, but I think it's important for those of you that know me from the RPG Maker community. You guys deserve to know a little bit about what's been going on with me in regards to Loveless, the video game I've been making for the past few years. As the title of the stream or the video will probably tell you, I will likely never actually release or even finish Loveless. And there's a lot that goes into that, and I hope I could probably explain a bit more about my thought process on all of that through the video. I have kind of like a list over here of things I want to talk about, like kind of like bullet points. So we'll try it. Get started on that. I guess it mostly like I know a lot of people in the RPG Maker community are making and developing games for sale, and they're like going out to they're making these games for to sell them on Steam or other platforms, iOS, Android. Sorry, it's just a heavy topic for me, so I'm just having a hard time getting my words out there. But I guess I should probably start all the way from the very beginning, how and why I got into the RPG Maker community in the first place, and hopefully maybe that'll kind of help to make sense of everything my brain's going through right now. Before I got into the RPG Maker community, before I started really digging my heels into game making, a lot of my projects up to that point have been rather small, very small scale. I think I had maybe worked on a few ROM hacks for Pokemon or Super Mario Brothers, and I think the only dedicated game making software I ever used before RPG Maker MV was this Game Maker thing I bought at Scholastic Book Fair when I was in middle school. So before I jumped into the RPG Maker community, I had little to no experience with the actual development of making a video game in the first place. But when I saw it, I was scrolling through Steam, so I saw it, I was just I was kind of putting myself out there, hey, here's a really cool idea. Me and my friends, we all have these really crazy, wacky characters, and this thing comes with a character generator, a character maker and all that stuff, and you can put those into a game, and I'm like, that's awesome. I love Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is one of my favorite franchises, and being able to make a traditional Final Fantasy-esque kind of game, that sounds cool. That's very appealing to me. And so not we, it was mostly just me. I'm like, hey, send me what your character looks like, or what do you think of this? And I would send them. I went out and bought MV, and I started messing around with it, and I'm like, what do you guys think of that? How does that look? And most of the times I just get thumbs up because my friends didn't really give a shit. If I'm just gonna be real with you guys for a minute. My friends didn't really care. But like for me, that was really big. That was a really big thing for me. I was like, I really want to make like something fun, but like not just fun for me, but fun for potentially my friends if they ever even tried the game in the first place. A lot of my friends aren't into RPGs in the first, like Final Fantasy RPGs or turn-based combat RPGs, but either or, that's my favorite kind of style of game. So I was fine with doing it, even if I wasn't really getting recognized by my friends for it. And I think for the first year while I was working on Loveless, before like Loveless hadn't even like Loveless was just a name at the time, and like the story wasn't really even a thing. It was mostly just developing the characters. Who are the characters? Who are they? What are they? What is their place in the world? And why do they want to be there? And most of everything I had made up in that first year was just kind of like gameplay gimmicks and ideas. I would see things from like the plugin creators like Jan Fly and some random dude and RPG Don, if anyone ever remembers him. They were all making these videos and plugins and things to help make RPG Maker games, not just this like cut of the mold idea. And I was like, I'm like taking bits and pieces, and I'm like, let's try that, let's try that, let's try that. And some things didn't work out. A lot of things didn't work out, in fact. I met my first hurdle for the game about a year after, in which I had to start over from scratch mostly. Like I said, everything was like kind of like just a lot of it was just like ideas thrown together, plugins that were just kind of like thrown together haphazardly, and everything was more or less being held together by Scotch tape. And so I think I tried adding one other thing and nothing was working because there were so many conflicting plugins. I decided to strip everything down, and I started over from scratch again. I kept a few things. I was like what are the baseline ideas I want to keep? And so we ended up cutting down the character roster. We ended up cutting down like all the other gimmicks I threw into the game for really no reason. And then I just kind of started over, and then I just started working on it some more. Every time I would still watch all those same videos, but then I'm like, how can I use that to like make my game better? And there'd be a lot of times where I'm like, I don't have anything like on my mind to make that work. I like the idea, but I can't make that work for my game. And that's for a lot of people in the RPG Maker community too. I'm not saying that I'm alone in that, but there was a lot of that going along. I think I finally released a demo of Loveless. I want to say within my 2-year mark of like what I was pretty proud of at the time. And looking back at it now, it's the story itself hasn't changed too drastically over that time, and I think it's just because I really cemented where I wanted the story to be. But as a lot of people had said over the time, that it was very rushed. It was more like I was just taking bullet points and going along. All right, so the next thing that's gonna happen, the next thing that's gonna happen, and that's how the story would go. And there wouldn't be a lot of in between. Case in point, the original tutorial of the game was about 20 minutes long, and I guess for a tutorial that's not the worst thing, I guess. But I don't think I gave the players enough time in order to really learn about the characters, who are they and why and whatever. so I just continue to work on the demo some more and more and more, and like I want the demo to be something that people are gonna, you know, be eye catching. And at this point, I wasn't even making the game anymore because my friends were interested. I was making it because I wanted other people to try it. And I remember sending my game out to all these different content creators on YouTube, and it was a hard pill to swallow. I think out of all the people I sent it out to, I think I had maybe one positive feedback from anyone, and the rest of it was mostly negative. But like honestly, looking back, I just kept looking at it as like, okay, that's a way for me to improve. I wasn't doing very well here, but let's keep going. I can use their negative feedback as a way of being able to make a positive change. And so I was just kind of stuck in this rut of working on this game for I guess another few years, and I just every time I would like figure out something about myself, like, oh hey, I can probably actually make the graphics look a little bit better, I can make my characters look a little bit nicer, I can probably make better battle sprites, I can probably do something like that. And I would just like sprinkle those in, and over time it would just kind of stack on top of each other, and it would get a little overwhelming again. And then I think it all culminated together whenever I made the most changes like all at once, and this was just I want to say it was almost 3 years ago that I made like these massive changes to like the introductory of the story. I wanted to make it more cinematic, I wanted it to be a little more interesting, so I voiced an introduction, like having like Galahad kind of like monologue, like the story thus far, more or less, or it kind of like it brings people into the world, and I introduce all these new characters, and I introduce all these new ideas, and I wanted to do more with it, and it made the introduction part, the tutorial, more or less, go from only lasting about 20 minutes to maybe lasting a little over an hour, almost maybe an hour and a half. And by the end of it, still, it was just unsatisfying. Like the people that were having a look at it, that I would send it out to, they were just like, well, yeah, it's cool, but like, you know, it's not as good as it could be. I mean, like, honestly, I don't see you ever selling this, and that's kind of like something that everyone kept latching onto. Is like, this isn't gonna be a project that you're gonna want to sell. This isn't gonna be anything you're gonna want to sell. And I feel like that hurts a lot of creators whenever it comes to the RPG Maker community. Is that everyone comes into this mindset that every project that someone makes, every time someone decides to create something new for RPG Maker, it must be for sale, or it must be for some sort of profit. You must be wanting to get something out of it, instead of just some people wanting to create things for the sake of wanting to create things. And I couldn't put this into words when it happened, but it made me incredibly depressed. I couldn't really be happy with what I was doing anymore, because I kept having like this ache, like in the back of my head, telling me like, hey, you're never gonna be able to sell this thing. It's never gonna be worth anything. No one's ever gonna want to buy it from you. And I'm like, I don't even want to sell it. I kept kept having that fight internally. Like, I don't want to sell this thing in the first place. This wasn't what this was for. This whole project started because I wanted to make something for like my friends, like this is a story based around like myself and my friends, and now it's so far like detracted from that original like idea now, and so I took a step back, and I didn't work on the game for over a year, probably even longer, almost two. And and then I found this really neat plugin, MV3D, and if anyone's come in and checked out the streams, and the Loveless theme streams, you guys have seen that I've been working on that for a while. That's been in development for over a year. It's been labeled Loveless 3D, but I don't know if I'm going to keep that kind of title in the first place. Loveless 2D never even technically finished and never took off the ground. But I thought that when I started working on the 3D version, I'm like, I can't just take, it's not going to be just a one for one. It can't be that, because it just won't work. Not with the story that I want to tell now. The story that I've come up with has gotten a little more dense, I guess you could say, but it's still not everything I want it to be. So I decided to go back to the drawing board again. So everything was almost pretty much brand new, working on Loveless 3D. I think I may have kept a few skills, but I'm dialing back everything. I'm rewriting all the formulas. I'm remaking a lot of the character sprites, and I'm again going back to the drawing board with how I want to tell this story. And again, it took that tutorial that was originally only 20 minutes long and stretched it out to something that could be closer to an hour to almost 2 hours, about, with everything that you can do in the demo, and all the things that you can do with it. And when I finished and I published it to the RPG Maker website for people to try out, that was the first demo in 2 years. And I was so proud of myself for making that happen, because for one, the game looks great, and I'm willing to look back at that and say yes, all this time and effort has made the game look incredible. MV3D is not used enough for RPG Maker games, in my opinion. Not a whole lot of games need it in the first place, but I was very proud to have something like that, especially with a game that I was really proud of at the time. And again, it was hit with a lot of negativity. The story's still considered half-baked, despite the fact that I've been making so many improvements on it over the years. I mean, it's not all negative and everything else. It's just those are a lot of the comments that seem to drown out a lot of the good that I hear from it. And again, it always goes back to, you're never gonna sell this because A and B and C. And the thing is that I've gotten to that point where I'm I don't want to sell this project. I don't want to sell it. I don't want people to buy it. I just want to make something at this point. It's not for anybody anymore, because again, my friends don't really care about it. It was more of a me thing. I don't care about making it for anybody. I don't care if people even enjoy it. It's something that I just want to make it, and it's gonna be out there, because if it resonates with people, well, then that's fine. But then, and I never expected any of this either, and this I don't know if this sounds conceited or not, I'm definitely not the most well-known creator in the RPG Maker community, and Loveless is definitely not the most well-known game in the RPG Maker community, but it has gotten some level of attention over the years. That is bound to happen when a game has been in development for so long. I think I started this project either in like early 2015 or 16. It's been a while, and it's been out there for a while. And I never really looked back and thought to myself, people are actually going to be interested in wanting to know more about the story. And I think it all came crashing down, or coming together, I guess is a better term, when I was watching a video made by I don't want to name names. Never mind. I'm not gonna say their name. But it was this other content creator on YouTube that was giving first impressions and thoughts on the game and everything else. And I'm like, I'm making the game more or less in 3D. I want them to try it, see how they like it, if they like it at all. And it turned into a 30-minute video of them more or less ranting about how terrible the game was, and just shitting all over me as a creator, and I never understood why it was so bad. And it turns out that he was one of those people that have been following the game's progression, just never played it, but he had been following the game's progression for the past few years and expected it to be so much more than what it was, to the point that he was utterly disappointed beyond all recognition, I guess, when the final product wasn't measuring up to that. And again, I think that's just, it's a heavy burden to carry, and it's weird to think. It's like I never look at myself as like this, influential person in the RPG Maker community. I'm just another guy making a game in my bedroom, pretty much, on an old PC that I've had for a few years. And it kind of it makes me feel like I'm not doing enough to really be worth someone keeping tabs on, or checking up on, or anything like that. And ultimately it just leads to this feeling of dread every time I have to turn back on RPG Maker to start working on it some more, because I can't feel like I'm ever going to measure up to the standards that other people have out for me and what they want to see. And I guess every developer goes through in a problem with like that. But again, Loveless was my first game I've ever really worked on, and I don't even have the motivation to keep wanting to work on it. And that sucks, because I think I've gotten quite a few people that message me that are like, hey, when's the next demo gonna come out? When are we gonna be able to play it again? When's the next update? And I'm like, I have ideas, I have thoughts, I want to keep working on the game. It's all up there. Like, I got all the ideas in the back of my head ready to put them down on paper. I've even put them down on paper, actually. I have like 2 or 3 notebooks full of ideas, cutscenes, skills, and whatnot, where I've just been at work and I'm just like, oh yeah, I can probably do that. And I'd scribble it down, and I'd write down a the formula of, like, for the damage and everything else. That way I know, like, what am I gonna work with whenever I get home. And then I get home and then I have the book. I just need to plug up the stuff. I just need to put it in. I just needed to put the actual work in, and I just can't do it. I don't have the motivation to want to work on the game anymore, because when I get to that point where I'm like, all right, I really want to, I want to work on this because I want people to be, happy with what I have, with what I can give them. I want people to look at my work and be content with it. And I just have that looming feeling that I'm gonna disappoint them. And it's hard. It's also it's painted a really bad, I guess, picture, because I don't like my update schedule for the game is all sorts of everywhere. You'd think that if someone takes a year in between demo releases and everything else, that there should be a substantial amount of work put into it. But I can't say that I made that much progress on Loveless since I released the original demo for the 3D version over a year ago. And that's difficult to say. It's difficult to, like, look at myself in the mirror and be okay with that. But I think it's important that I say something, because I guess the bottom line is that I don't want to say that I'm never going to work on the game again, and that I don't have any plans to do so. But I can't say that I'm ever going to finish the game either. I don't think that I'll ever be able to get to that point where I can look at myself and be happy with the product that I've made. With that, and it's at that point that even trying to work on the game for myself, it just doesn't. I'm not sure if I can. I wasn't really sure how I could end a video like this. It's an incredibly heavy topic for me. But I just hope that if you made it this far into the video and thank you for being there and supporting me throughout all of this. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you. Thanks again to everyone for coming out and checking out the stream. For those interested in being a part of the community, you can join the Discord by typing !Discord in the chat. Our Discord is a great way for us to interact with you personally, so stop on by. You can also follow it if you'd like, and if you really want to help and support the channel, you can subscribe too. We're always looking to provide quality content, so if you have any suggestions, feel free to use the suggestion box right here in Twitch chat, or even our Discord server. From Danny Man and I, thanks again so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys again very soon.